Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're going deep into AI.
Ooh, fun.
Yeah, all those amazing large language models, the ones
Yeah.
writing poems and even composing music.
It's really incredible what they can do now.
Right. It's like, how does an AI learn to write like Shakespeare or diagnose a disease?
Well, it all comes down to the data it's trained on,
The data, yeah.
which is what makes this so
That's
fascinating.
exactly what we're going to be looking at today.
Oh,
Yeah,
cool.
this report from Mozilla and Luther AI
Oh,
called
I've heard of that one.
Towards Best Practices for Open Datasets for LLM Training.
Very important stuff.
It is. So basically, they did a deep dive into the world of open data sets and how these data sets are shaping the future of AI.
And it's not just for the tech people either.
Right. This impacts all of us.
Exactly.
I mean, think about it. We're interacting with AI more and more every day.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Things like the recommendations we get on Spotify or even...
Like TikTok.
Yeah, TikTok. It's crazy.
AI is everywhere.
Even those algorithms that choose what shows up in our social media feeds,
Mm-hmm.
that's all AI.
And, a lot of these companies that are developing these really powerful AI models,
Yeah.
they're actually pretty secretive about the data they use to train these models.
Oh, really?
Huh. That's interesting.
Yeah, and that lack of transparency is actually a big deal.
I can see that. Yeah. I mean, if we don't know what information an AI is trained on, how can we trust it?
Exactly.
Like, what if it was a medical diagnosis tool powered by AI? Wouldn't you want to know what data was used to train it?
Absolutely. Like, how do we know if it's giving good advice?
Right. So how do we fix this?
Well, this is where the idea of open data sets comes in.
Okay.
Training AI on data that's openly licensed
Yeah.
or in the public domain.
Gotcha.
This is ethically appealing because it makes the information accessible to everyone.
So kind of like open source software,
Exactly. You got
where the code is free for anyone to use.
Yep. And modify and share.
And it's been incredibly successful for software development.
All this innovation and collaboration.
And now we're seeing those same principles being applied to AI data.
Oh, wow. So open data sets are like open source code, but for AI.
Exactly.
That's a great way to think about it.
But just like with anything,
Yeah.
there are some big challenges.
Like what?
Well, first of all, finding enough high-quality data that's verifiably open and legally sound.
Oh, I bet.
It's a massive undertaking.
Yeah.
And just think about the logistics of it all.
I know, wait.
Digitizing old books, translating languages.
Keeping it all up to date.
Yeah, constantly updating these data sets as new information emerges.
Wow, that's a lot of work.
It's a monumental task.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
But that's exactly why this report from Mozilla and Luther AI is so important.
I agree.
Because they're trying to lay out a roadmap for how to build a better future for open data sets.
They are.
And for AI.
And for AI.
So they got all these experts together to tackle this issue head on.
Mm-hmm.
And they went beyond just talking about the tech. And they created a vision for a future where AI is transparent,
Yeah.
diverse, and benefits everyone.
I mean, who wouldn't want that?
Right. Okay, so how do they propose we actually build these open data sets?
Well,
I know the report mentions 7 key principles.
Yeah.
Where do we even begin?
Well, they cover a lot of ground.
Okay.
Everything from fostering competition to minimizing harm
Right.
and even promoting diversity in the data sets.
Gotcha.
It's basically a checklist for building ethical open data sets.
I like that. A checklist for ethical AI.
Exactly.
Okay, so let's break down these principles.
Okay.
Starting with the first one.
Okay, so the first one is all about fostering a competitive LLM ecosystem.
Okay, so what does that mean exactly?
Well, it's about making sure that,
So,
just a small group of companies
yeah.
don't end up controlling the whole AI landscape.
Oh, so it's about making sure that there's competition.
Yeah, leveling the playing field for smaller developers.
Yeah, I mean, I can get behind that.
Right.
More competition,
Yeah.
more innovation.
Exactly. And that's why open data sets are so crucial.
Yeah.
Because they give everyone access to the raw materials they need to train these powerful AI models.
So they're not just stuck using whatever the big companies give them.
Exactly. It's like
Yeah.
giving aspiring chefs
Yeah.
access to the same quality ingredients as Michelin star restaurants.
I like that analogy. Okay,
Everyone gets a chance to cook something amazing.
makes sense.
Okay, so moving on to the next principle,
Okay.
accountability and transparency.
We touched on this a little bit earlier,
Yeah, it's vital.
but it's super important.
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
Knowing what data was used to train an AI allows us to audit it,
Oh,
see its limitations, and identify potential biases.
so it's like being able to see the AI's work,
Yeah.
not just getting the final answer.
Exactly. It's like showing your work in math class.
Yeah. You can't just write down the answer.
You got to show how you got there.
Exactly.
All right, so principle number 3 gets into some pretty tricky territory. Minimizing harm and what they call preference signals.
Okay, break
Okay.
that down for me.
So basically,
Yeah.
it's about giving creators more control over how their work is used in these AI training data sets.
Okay.
So for example, imagine you're a musician
Yeah.
and you don't want your music to be used to train like
Okay.
an AI that generates commercial jingles.
I could see that.
Right.
Yeah.
So preference signals would allow you to kind of opt out of having your work used in certain ways.
That makes sense. So it's about balancing the benefits of open data with the rights of the people who created the data.
That's a great way to put it.
But how do you actually do that?
Well, that's the million-dollar question.
Yeah.
How do you create systems that respect those preferences without completely shutting down access to open data?
It sounds tricky.
It's a challenge
Yeah.
that researchers are working on.
Okay.
All right, principle number 4 is diversity.
Okay. Diversity is always good.
We need data sets that represent a wide range of languages, cultures, and viewpoints.
Makes sense.
So we don't create AI that has a narrow or biased understanding of the world.
Oh, yeah. I can see how that's
And
important.
imagine if an AI was trained only on text from one country.
Yeah.
It's going to have a limited perspective.
Yeah. It wouldn't know anything about anywhere else.
Exactly. And it might even struggle to understand different dialects or cultural references.
It would probably make a lot of mistakes.
For sure.
So, yeah, diversity is super important.
Okay, so principle number 5 is all about reciprocity.
Reciprocity.
Basically, it means making sure that the people who contribute to these data sets
Yeah.
actually benefit from their contributions,
I like that.
not just the big AI companies.
Yeah, they shouldn't get all the benefits.
Right, so it's about fairness.
Yeah.
And making sure that everyone shares in the rewards.
It's only fair.
All right, moving on to principle number 6, collaboration.
Okay.
We need to work with existing institutions.
Like?
Wikipedia,
Okay.
libraries.
They have tons of data.
Yeah. Open source projects to leverage their expertise.
Yeah, why reinvent the wheel?
Exactly.
Yeah.
They've already done incredible work in collecting,
Mm-hmm.
organizing, and sharing knowledge.
It makes a lot of sense to work with them.
Absolutely.
Okay, so what's the last principle?
The 7th principle is preservation.
Okay.
We need to make sure these data sets are maintained and accessible long term.
Because they're valuable.
Yeah. We don't want them disappearing.
Yeah, that would be a shame.
Exactly.
So we've got our 7 principles,
Yeah.
but how do we actually put these principles into practice?
Well, that's where things get really interesting.
Okay.
The report dives into some very specific strategies
Uh-huh.
and technical solutions
Okay.
for each stage of the process.
Nada.
From sourcing data to processing it
Yeah.
and ensuring its long-term preservation.
Give me an example.
Sure. So one cool example is the idea of encoding preferences.
Okay.
Using machine-readable labels.
Like,
Kind of like those nutritional labels for data that we talked about before.
yeah. So developers can quickly see
Uh-huh.
what the data can be used for.
Exactly. It would make it much easier to find data that aligns with ethical guidelines
And make sure it's used responsibly.
and respects the wishes of creators.
Oh, that would be really helpful.
Yeah.
I like that.
Okay, so what about sourcing the data in the first place?
Yeah, where do we even get all this data?
Well, the report really emphasizes community resources,
Yeah.
transparency, and diversity when sourcing data.
Okay.
It's about tapping into the collective knowledge of the internet.
Got it.
So things like Wikipedia,
Uh-huh.
open access journals,
Yeah.
public domain books.
How cool.
And there's this really cool project called Common Pile.
Common Pile.
Yeah, they're working on creating a massive data set
Wow.
purely from public domain materials.
So like books and articles that are no longer copyrighted.
Exactly.
That's awesome.
And they're even tackling the challenge of extracting text from old PDFs.
Oh, why is that so hard?
Yeah. Well, PDFs weren't really designed for data extraction.
I guess not.
You know, they're often formatted in a way that makes it really difficult to separate the text from the layout.
Oh, so it's like trying to get the recipe out of a cookbook.
Exactly. You got to be careful not to rip the pages.
So it's a technical challenge,
Yeah, it is.
but an important one to solve.
If we want to unlock all that knowledge.
Totally. Okay, so we've got all this data now.
Yeah.
We need to process it,
Yep.
clean it up,
Uh-huh.
make sure it's formatted properly.
Exactly. And the report really emphasizes transparency here.
Okay.
Being really clear about your filtering goals.
Okay.
What are you including?
Yeah.
What are you excluding?
Right.
And what are the potential consequences of those decisions?
Because you could accidentally filter out important stuff.
Exactly.
If you're not careful.
Like, let's say you're training an AI for medical diagnosis.
Okay.
And you decide to filter out all words related to certain sensitive conditions.
Yeah.
Well, you might accidentally remove information that could help the AI identify those very conditions.
Yeah. That wouldn't be good.
It's a delicate balance.
Yeah. So it's more than just like deleting bad words.
Yeah. You got to be really thoughtful. You got to be really careful about what you're keeping and what you're removing.
Right.
And finally, the report talks about data governance. How do we make sure these data sets are maintained,
Yeah.
updated,
Kept safe.
and used responsibly over the long term?
Yeah. Because building them is just the first step.
Exactly. This involves things like clear licensing agreements,
Gotcha.
robust systems for data storage.
So it's a long-term commitment,
It is. Creating and maintaining these data sets is complex.
but important.
Yeah. The decisions we make now about these data sets will have a huge impact on the future of AI.
Well, I'm starting to see why this is also important.
Yeah.
But I still have one big question.
Okay.
What does all this mean for me?
Yeah.
Yeah, the average person.
Yeah.
How does this impact me?
That's a great question, and one we'll explore in the final part of our deep dive.
Ooh, a cliffhanger.
Stay tuned.
All right, so welcome back to the deep dive.
Back for more.
Yeah, we're finally at the last part of our deep dive into open data sets for these large language models.
It's been a journey.
It has. We've talked about all these principles and the challenges.
That stuff.
Yeah, all the nitty-gritty stuff.
But now for the big question.
yeah.
What does it all mean?
Yeah, what does all this mean for me,
For you,
the average person?
the average Joe.
How does this impact me?
You know, it's easy to think about AI as like
Yeah.
something happening in a lab somewhere.
Or in the movies.
Yeah, like in the Matrix.
Totally.
But the truth is, AI is already shaping your world.
Really?
Yeah,
In ways I don't even realize.
probably.
Okay.
Like, think about it.
Yeah.
Those movie recommendations you get on Netflix,
Oh, yeah.
that's AI.
Huh.
Or like traffic predictions on Google Maps,
AI.
that's AI too. And as these systems get more and more powerful,
Yeah.
their impact is only going to grow.
So what you're saying is that understanding open data sets
Yeah,
is
important.
for everyone.
Yeah, not just for like computer scientists.
You
It's
think-
for like everyday people.
Yep.
If they want to understand the future.
Future is AI.
Okay. Okay, so why? Why is it so important?
Well, one of the biggest reasons is power.
Our.
Who controls the data controls the AI.
Ooh, that's deep.
And that means they have a huge influence over how this technology shapes our lives.
Okay, so right now,
Yeah.
a lot of the power in AI rests with
A few big companies.
like Google, Facebook,
Like
Amazon.
now they've got all the resources,
And even money.
that talent.
Yeah.
But doesn't that worry you a little bit?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, when so much power is concentrated in the hands of so few.
Exactly. It's hard to make sure those systems are fair and accountable.
And like beneficial for everyone.
Right. It can't just benefit them. We've all heard those stories about AI algorithms reflecting biases in their training data,
Oh, yeah, for sure.
like hiring tools that discriminate against certain groups.
Or facial recognition systems that are less accurate for people of color.
Yeah, those are scary.
And it's even harder to fix those problems
Yeah.
when the data itself is a secret.
Oh, because you don't know what's causing the problem.
Exactly. It's like trying to fix a broken engine
Uh-huh.
without being able to open the hood.
Okay, so how do open data sets help?
Open data sets are a big part of the solution
Oh.
because they democratize access to the raw materials of AI.
What does that mean?
It means anyone can access high-quality data
Okay.
to train their own AI models.
Not just big companies?
Not just the Googles of the world.
So like smaller companies, everyday people.
Yeah. Anyone.
So we could see all this innovation happening outside of Silicon Valley.
Exactly. Like communities developing AI solutions for their own specific needs.
Ooh, like what?
Like maybe an AI that helps farmers
Yeah.
predict crop yields.
That's a cool idea.
Or an AI that helps doctors
Mm.
diagnose diseases earlier.
Wow.
The possibilities are endless.
That's pretty exciting.
And it's not just about empowering developers.
Mm.
It's also about empowering users.
Us.
Yeah, us. Remember transparency.
Uh-huh.
With open data sets, we can finally see what's going on under the hood.
So we can understand how the AI is making decisions.
Exactly. And if something seems off,
Yeah.
we can speak up.
We can demand better.
We're not just passive consumers anymore.
We have a voice.
We have power.
So it's kind of like taking ownership of our technological future.
Exactly. We're not just blindly accepting whatever's handed to us.
We're shaping it.
We're shaping it together.
And open data sets give us the tools to do that.
They do.
Okay, so you're saying we all need to become AI experts now.
Not exactly.
Okay, good.
It's more about AI literacy.
AI literacy.
Yeah, understanding the basics,
Like what?
how these systems work,
Okay.
what they're good at, and what their limitations are.
So like recognizing when an AI might be biased.
Exactly. Or when it might be making mistakes.
Okay, yeah, that's important.
And AI literacy isn't about becoming like a coder or anything.
Okay, good.
It's about being an informed citizen.
In a world that's increasingly powered by AI.
Exactly. It's about asking the right questions.
Demanding accountability.
Yeah, and making sure this technology serves us.
Not the other way around.
Exact.
I like that.
It's empowering.
It is. Okay, so we've covered a lot today.
We have
Open data sets,
transparency.
power dynamics.
The AI literacy.
Yes.
It's a lot. But I think the takeaway here is that the future of AI,
Yeah.
it's not set in stone.
It's not predetermined.
We're all shaping it.
With our choices.
With our actions.
With our voices.
Exactly.
I love that.
It's exciting.
It is exciting. This deep dive has been really eye-opening.
I'm glad to hear that.
So if you're listening and you want to learn more,
You should definitely check out that report.
yeah, the full report from Mozilla and Eleuther AI
It's full of great insights.
and practical recommendations
We're building a better future.
for AI.
And for all of us.
So remember, the future of AI is in our hands.
Let's make it a good one.
Yes. Thanks for joining us on the deep dive.
See you next time.
We'll see you next time for another deep dive into the ideas shaping our world.